What? I kind of forgot they do that sometimes. Let's go! Ladies and gentlemen, it's a little ridiculous. Good boy. Play all the hits. Let's the Toronto Maple Leafs. Let me finish. How am I supposed to go to bed after watching that? I'm quite hyped. With you wherever you are, welcome to LFR. Leafs lose 7-6 in overtime to the Florida Panthers after blowing a 5-1 lead. Now listen, not everything is a complete catastrophe. After all, the Leafs had won 5 straight heading into this one, including a dominant win over the Tampa Bay Lightning just last night. And just last night, we talked about how difficult it is to saunter on into Florida and walk away with 4 out of 4 possible points. You can't win them all, folks. You can't win them all. But you know, you should probably win the ones that you're up 5-1 in. But this is no regular team. These are not even the regular Leafs because they figured something out. Get a lead and hold on to it. What for? If you get a lead and just try to hold on to it, there are going to be times where you lose it. But over the last week, these Leafs are all gas, no brakes. Leaf fans, here, come here. Sheldon Keefe got asked after the game, when did you know? He was asked, like, when did the game turn? But no. Because the question, hey, Sheldon, when did you know? He's not allowed to answer that question. So you gotta ask him, like, oh, you know, it sort of got away on you. Like, what happened there? But no. Leaf fans who have been here for a while, when did you know? Here's how it went for me. Panthers go up 1-0, a power play goal from Sam Bennett. Aw, shucks. Later in the first period, William Nylander, power play goal. Aw, yeah! And it's a tied game 1-1 heading into the second. Followed by probably the Leafs' most dominant 2-minute stretch in any game this season. Mitch Marner shorthanded, turnstiling Mackenzie Weegar. And then once he was done with him, sent Sergei Bobrovsky's jock flying into Kyle Lowry's backyard. Then the Leafs get a power play. Then Marner again, 37 seconds later, power play goal. Colin Blackwell in front because that is where you go. And it's 4-1. 3 goals starting from the 30 seconds in. 30 seconds into the second period to 2 minutes and 4 seconds. It was 94 seconds of the Leafs making a statement that they are here in the Atlantic Division. That this year is different. And to put a stamp on the whole thing, Jake Muzzin in his first game back in forever snipes it and they're up 5-1, less than halfway through regulation. And that's when I knew. I'm not gonna lie, that's when I knew. Maybe that's not when I knew. It's when the feeling started to seep in, though. You know the feeling. But this is no regular team. Strangely, that feeling never crept in against Tampa. The Lightning didn't do anything to elicit that feeling. The Leafs started to beat them and then just kind of continued to beat them. When Marner scored the shorthanded goal to make it 2-1, I thought, oh, you know what? This team is special. 3-1, what a well-oiled machine. 4-1, Colin Blackwell. They've even solved the 4th line. And then Muzzin. Oh, this is so good. Too good. I know what the Amazon documentary was supposed to be. It was supposed to document the Leafs' victorious season going back to the throne of the National Hockey League and the hockey world. Instead, what every member of the Toronto Maple Leafs roster got was a handbook on themselves. Paul McLean, former assistant coach in the National Hockey League, Leafs assistant coach from the sky. He watched everything from like up in the press box. He had the best line in the whole thing, and he was only in it for 5 seconds. Because what the Amazon documentary was called was All or Nothing, but what it should have been called was Demons. And this was a reminder from those demons that no matter how good the Leafs look, they're still there. And not all demons are equal. Some of them are just little demons. Like, hey, that's a nice big lead you got there. Be a shame if you extended your league lead in bench minors. And they take a too many men on the ice call, and it's a power play, and it's the same guy who scored on the power play before, and it's 5-2. Nonsense, you tell yourself. It's still a 3-goal lead. I mean, that's what the narrator inside your head says. But you could have swore you heard a little. But it's okay. Less than a minute later, the Leafs get a power play of their own. Here's where they get it right back. And then Radko Gudas with a slap shot from barely inside the blue line, short-handed. What is Radko Gudas doing on the rush short-handed? And just when you think a routine stop is coming, boom! It goes in, and the moment I knew, Eric, you can't be doing this. The sad puppy dog dejected look. Oh, I understand the sad puppy dog dejected look. But again, I couldn't help but be reminded of how nervous the Leafs looked in like Game 6 against the Montreal Canadiens. But Steve, it's a different team. It's a different team. You're so ridiculous. They've won 5 straight. This is a different team that was a year ago. You're being ridiculous! These are not even the regular Leafs because they figured something out. And I'd been ignoring things. I ignored how optimistic Sam Reinhart looked when he made it 5-2. I even ignored the fluky goal, the worst goal that Eric Källgren has ever let in. But the look on Claude Giroux's face when he brought the Panthers to within 1. He knew. They knew. Clifford takes a slash at the beginning of the third. That's a bad fourth liner. Huberdeau ties it up in the power play. Barkov gets one a few minutes later. And with just under 4 minutes to play in the third, you all apologize to Johnny Toronto. He luckily forced overtime. What a comeback story. One for the ages. Who doesn't love an underdog who was up 5-1 and found a way to force overtime? It reminds me of a time just a few years ago. The Leafs have a 4-1 lead over the Montreal Canadiens in one of the first games of the season. And then they blow the entire thing because Kasperi Kapanen threw his stick at Jeff Petrie. Who told him that was a good idea? The Demons did! The Habs won a 5-4. Austin Matthews tied it, and then it went to the shootout, and it was Michael Hutchinson versus Carey Price. They didn't have a prayer. This is the thing with every humiliating blown lead that the Leafs have. There's always you know the saying, there's always a tweet? There's always a comparable blown lead! This is why I get annoyed at the "it was 4-1" chirp. It's lazy is what it is. What about it was 5-1? This isn't even the first time! They had a 5-1 lead this season that they blew, and they had a 5-1 lead against the Sens! The Sens! Last year that they blew. Bro, they blew a 7-2 lead a couple months ago! It was 4-1. That was 9 years ago. Grow up. They've blown lots of leads since then. How many leads? Oh man, I'm so glad you asked. From Sportsnet stats, and yes, I worked there, but let me be the first to say, boo! Leafs blow their 7th game. 7th game! When holding a 4-1 lead since Game 7 of the 2013 playoffs first round. Thanks for that. We knew it was the first round! No other NHL team has 4 such losses. No, but other teams blow leads. You're right. And you know what? You are right. Other teams do blow leads. But not every other team has demons! Of course, the game goes to 3-on-3 overtime, and it was a lot of fun, and I wish it never ended, but it did, with the Florida Panthers winning. So, I have some ideas, because, you know, in the coaches' meetings, in the video sessions, Sheldon Keefe and committee cannot get up there and yell at the Leafs about demons. He cannot get up there next time they are in the practice facility and draw upon it a scary demon. So you gotta bring up something practical. And listen, I'm gonna say this. Jake Muzzin, he came back in the lineup, and I didn't expect him to look perfect. And he didn't, in his own end. Someone, not him, has to come out next game. They do. Someone has to come out the next game against the Dallas Stars on Thursday, and I'll tell you why. They can't scratch Ilya Lyubushkin. They can't. They cannot scratch him. You want to see why? Okay, we have 7 goals to parse through that the Florida Panthers scored, and we're going to make it easier by getting rid of 2 of them. The 3-on-3 goal, it's 3-on-3. There's no 3-on-3 in the playoffs. We'll get rid of that. The Radko Gudas blast from the point, shorthanded. We're gonna... Don't you dare. Don't you ever do that again. Those aren't supposed to go in. So we'll get rid of that. Here's a picture of Florida just before they score their first goal. Take a look at it. Take a look at it. Here's a picture of Florida just before their second goal. No, this is not a screen grab from later in the clip of the first picture I showed you. It's a separate photo from a separate video. Here's a picture of Florida just before scoring their 4th goal in the game. Do you see it? Are you starting to pick up on a theme? This is a picture of the Florida Panthers just before they scored their 5th goal. Boy, did they score a lot of goals, and boy, did a lot of them look the exact same! And this, oh, poor Jack, man, poor Jack. This is a photo of the Florida Panthers just before they score their 6th goal. Do you see? Do you see? That's 5 goals allowed in a single game against a team that you might meet in the playoffs that are less than 5 feet from your goal line. And you know what? No, let me cut myself off because I'm like, oh, you can't scratch Lyubushkin. He might have helped with 1 or 2 of them. 5 is kind of a lot! Listen. The Leafs have been so good recently. So good. But this season, when they haven't looked so good, and last season, and the season before that, and every season for as long as I can remember, they are soft in front of their own net. And the Florida Panthers exposed that. It's amazing how often these crash and burn scenarios happen for the Leafs, and all the goals are right in front. Yeah, a bunch of those are on the Florida Panthers power play, but that's kind of what happens on the power play. I'm not even criticizing the penalty kill because the penalty kill has been fantastic and they got another shorthanded goal in this one, but they had an off night in this one as well. And that is not something that is exclusive to the penalty kill. They are too soft in front of their own net at their worst. At their best, they're a team that can kick the Florida Panthers up and down the ice in their own building to get a 5-1 lead on the second half of a back-to-back. At their worst, especially in front of their own net, it's like they're battling the other team's skaters, all 5 of them at once, and they're demons. You know, the Leafs are a pretty silly team. Things go well for them, and it's almost like they need to be reminded that one day things might not be so great. Ideally, this is their last reminder before the final exam. Not a question, but one tweet I wanted to highlight. Not a question, just a quick stat. Leafs are now 7-0-1 against the other 7 playoff teams in the East since November 1st. Insane run, and that they could hang with the rested Panthers with an AHL goalie in net. You know, I think you had me until the last part because at the end of the day, they lost steam as the game went, which you would expect out of a team on the second half of a back-to-back. Now, the Leafs and Panthers, if they were to play each other, the Leafs and whoever they play in the first round, it's going to be equal ground. Like, there won't be any rested versus unrested teams. There was here, but it doesn't take away from the fact that they kind of blew it. However, you do make a very good point that the Leafs, since February 1st, are 7-0-1 against the other playoff teams in the East. And this was the one. They were 7-0. Had they held on to the 5-1 lead, oh my gosh, it really was a 5-1 lead, they would have been 8-0. A perfect 8-0. But this is no regular team. Again, if it seems like I'm hard on this team, that's why. That's why. They're so good. They're so good. They have so much potential if they just fight off and get past their demons. So, that is it for this one. Thank you very much for watching. Click like if you like this video. Click subscribe if you really liked it. Tell all your friends. Brand new Steve Dangle podcast tomorrow.